Hello, this is Dr. Mbodje, and I would like to welcome you to my first lecture. This is my first lecture in a series of lectures that you will find on this website. Today we are going to study fractions. So what is a fraction? Well, to answer the question what is a fraction, it might be very useful for us to try to find out what the origin of the word fraction is. The word fraction comes from the Latin word fractus, which in English means broken. Therefore, a fraction is a number that may be used to represent a broken quantity. For example, if I draw an orange, a whole orange, one whole orange, and decide to break this orange into 4 equal parts, here I have a whole orange, and I decide to break it into 4 equal parts and throw away one of the 4 parts, like this. Then the quantity that I'm left with, here, the quantity that I'm left with is no longer a whole orange. So this quantity is a broken orange. So therefore the question is, how am I going to represent the quantity here? I cannot say that this quantity is 1 orange because it is not a whole orange. Nor can I say that it is 2 oranges because it is not 2 oranges. Now, how am I going to represent this quantity here? In order to represent this quantity, I have to answer 2 questions. First of all, I have to answer 2 questions. The first question is, in how many parts have I divided my original whole orange to obtain the broken quantity here? The answer to this question is the following. The orange is divided into 4 equal parts. So this answers my first question. Now, what is my second question which I have to answer? Well, the second question is, after dividing the whole orange into 4 equal parts, how many parts have I kept? How many parts have I retained? The answer to this question is only 3 parts have been kept. Okay? So now that I've answered these 2 questions, and the answers are 4 and 3, okay? Now I can use these answers now to quantify the amount of oranges left here. Now, in order to do that, I draw a short line, and this short line here is called the fraction bar. This short line here is called the fraction bar. Now, underneath the fraction bar, below the fraction bar, I write the total number of parts into which the orange has been divided. So here I write 4, and this 4 here is the total number of parts into which the whole orange is divided. Okay? Now, on top of the fraction bar, I write the number of parts that has been retained. So here you can see that the number of parts that have been retained in this broken quantity is 3. So I write 3 here, and the 3 stand for the total number of parts retained or kept. Once I have finished doing that, then the symbol that you see here, 3 bar 4, which is also read 3/4, now is the symbol or the number that represents the broken quantity we have here. And this symbol here, or this fraction, is read in one of two ways. You can read it as 3/4, or you can also read it as 3/4. Now, one last thing that I would like to mention before I close this section here, this talk here, is that once you've written a fraction, the number on top of the bar is called the numerator of the fraction, and the number below the bar is called the denominator of the fraction. So in this fraction 3/4 that represents this broken quantity, the number 3, the whole number 3, is the numerator of the fraction. The line below the 3 is called the fraction bar, and the number 4 below the bar is called the denominator of the fraction. So once again, let me repeat this. Given a fraction, once you are given a fraction is made up of 3 things: a number on top of the fraction bar itself, and a number below the fraction bar. The number on top here, in this instance here, 3, is called the numerator of the fraction. The bar is called the fraction bar, and the number below the bar is called the denominator of the fraction. And this fraction here can be read in one of two ways. You can either call it 3/4, or you can also read it as 3/4. And this fraction here represents this broken quantity.